Good afternoon. Once again, we're live on our session. So right now we have a gentleman who is joining us regarding, um, believe it or not, communication, telecoms, VoIP, how one can save funds using their service within a commercial property or a residential property. So it should be good to hear what Christos has to say. Here we go. We've got him on live. So let's join in.
Christos, hello.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you, but your phone is horizontal. You need to put it
Is
vertical.
on the other side? It's
Yep,
like,
perfect. This is perfect.
okay, good to see you, first of all.
Good to see you too. How's things?
Yeah, good, good. How's the family doing?
Yeah, so far so good. Can't complain. We were in a sort of a mode where we were okay, but now we're confused as to what needs to be done. But anyways, that's another separate topic about the lockdown. But here today we are what we are here to discuss is how one can save money using that you provide to any commercial property owner or a residential property owner, and how they can use your services and save money in terms of telecoms. So it should be good.
Thank you. Thank you very much
So,
for the invite, first
Christos,
of all.
not at all. So before we start, Christos, if you can introduce yourself as to who you are and what you do, and then we can take the call forward.
Yeah. First of all, I'm coming from a finance background, and we are into telecoms for a second decade now.
Okay.
We are very, very much experienced on Ericsson technology. And we are applying this consistently over the years, as you rightfully said, in commercial properties, large enterprises,
Yeah.
all the way up to hotels. So when
All the
it
way
comes
up
to
to
commercial
hotels. Yeah.
property, yes,
So
yes,
you do
yes.
do you look at residential properties also, or
We
just
do as well.
you
We do as
you do
well,
look at
yes,
residential properties?
yes.
Just before we get into the whole conversation about how one can save money in terms of using your services, you mentioned that you were in the financial background before. So can you just take me through, as in what were you doing and your career, or I
Oh,
mean,
yes, sure.
this was the study that you did during when you were at university, or what was it that sort of intrigued you to get into finance?
Okay, I have been privileged enough to look after the portfolio of Qatar Airways across 25 countries in Europe
Wow,
before,
wow.
London, central London based. And yeah, this has been a result of finance and business administration studies.
So are you saying that if I knew you during those times, then you would possibly get me a discount on my travel journeys?
Very much.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Um, so yeah, you were saying that you were looking after the portfolio. What sort of portfolio was it, if I may ask you, Christoph?
Ownerships
Ownerships
and
of
and
properties,
options
lands.
and options. There was a portfolio comprising and consisting of shares,
Okay,
hotels,
okay.
and also titles on properties
So this was Qatar Airways, right? Which is owned by the Thanis. So in effect, it was owned by Thani,
by the state of Qatar.
by the state of Qatar. Okay, cool.
Effectively, yes, yes.
Um, how was it during that time? Was
It
it
was
good?
brilliant. It was brilliant.
Good,
Amazing experience.
good people to deal with, the
Very
Qataris?
good people to deal with. Amazing nationalities mix, which makes you more adjustable, more resilient, and to get to know other cultures. It was pretty fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
And when you sort of got into this job of looking after the portfolios of Qatar Airways, were you doing something before that that sort of drove
Yes,
you
I was
towards into
correct.
into into Qatar managing Qatar Airways portfolio?
It was a natural extension of my previous aviation
Okay,
experience that took
okay.
me to Qatar Airways, and I was privileged enough to grow within the
So
organization
were
all
you
the way
I
up
mean,
to
what did you do in aviation? I mean, were you into
finance.
okay, so financing the investments and all that kind of stuff for people who wanted to buy aircrafts? Is that the
I
case?
started with the day-to-day things,
Okay.
but as hair is getting gray, we grew within the organization as well, and this took us all the way up to portfolio management and
So
asset
you were
management.
also so you were also looking at acquiring aircrafts for airlines.
Aviation financing is very much managed centrally.
Okay.
However, we had, to a certain degree, an involvement in that aspect as well.
Okay.
And the focus was on the asset management rather,
Okay.
that had to do
So
with,
if someone
yeah.
were to come in today and ask you that, Christos, I want to buy an airplane, would you look at that?
I would look at that, however, from a whole different perspective now.
Because I was speaking to someone on LinkedIn the other day, and they asked me that I asked them that, do you invest in properties, and they were like, no, I only invest in buying airplanes. I was like, wow, this is like the first that I've heard of someone going into investing in airplanes. But I mean, that's a separate topic. So
It is.
from dealing with one of the best airlines in the world, Qatar Airways, what took you towards dealing in telecom?
When things come full cycle, then you're looking for something that works family-wise as well. And we have a third daughter now,
Okay.
few years now. So it was time to see what comes after traveling day after day, and yeah, it was lovely but intense, and things come together
So
really.
basically, the family sort of the growth of your family moved you from working with Qatar Airways. The reason for you to move from there, was it the long hours or all that kind of stuff that was sort of hindering your what do you call it?
It was a combination of
Pri
everything, really. It was a
Okay,
combination of everything. We moved to Paris,
okay,
and then there was quite a bit of travel. At the same time, the organization adjusted accordingly to the growth. So it all comes together. And then there is a point where you go like one or the other. And how can I combine both? And this is,
If you had the
yes,
chance right now to go back there, would you or no? It's a no going.
it's over.
So you've
It's
left
over.
that, you've put that on the
Correct.
side now. Okay, that's it.
That unit is entirely over, is completely over. It was absolutely amazing experience.
How long were you into
However,
aviation for?
uh, 18 years.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you've been in different cockpits and different
I have
planes.
been. Yeah, yeah.
How many uh I mean planes have you, how many
23
air,
types.
wow,
23 types. Yes,
wow.
and
From private planes to commercial planes to, passenger airlines, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
you've been in, wow, amazing.
I've been to
I
quite a
mean,
few, and it's an
which one?
amazing world.
I'm sure private jets are better than the commercial aircrafts or the passenger aircrafts. I mean, which is the which
Interestingly
is
enough,
which is the
interestingly
best
enough,
private jet
yes.
that you would recommend someone? I've always heard
What
about the G6.
G6 is a wonderful one.
Okay.
However, Embraer has now developed some amazing models tailor-made
Okay.
for people.
Okay.
And other than that, the 787
Yep.
has been one of the most amazing experiences over time.
And the 380?
And the 380 as well. However, the 380, requires few adjustments, has been put down for some time for some improvements. So overall, it's A350 as well.
Yep. Yep. I
Yeah,
mean, in the last year, or let's say the last 2 years, we've sorry, I'm going slightly off topic out here. I want to come back to
that's all right.
telecommunications. But in the last 2 years or so, we've heard a lot of crashes happening, right? The most
Yes,
recent one, being the Iranian flight that came down in whether it was taken down or whether it came down, I don't know. But either way, that was the most recent one that I heard of. How can these airlines work towards? I mean, we're living in a modern world out here. Okay, if an airplane gets struck by lightning or bad wind or turbulent weather, I can understand. But its own engine getting seized, or the wing or the turbine or something, having issues. Why is that today in such a modern world we live in, we yet are having the same issues which we are having maybe 50, 60 years ago with the airplanes? Why is that?
it's precisely the same reason that we used to have accidents and crashes 50, 60 years ago. We have to admit that in the vast majority of cases, it's a human error, which is quite unfortunate. Despite the fact that it's all very much automated, yet the human error has been playing a predominant role in these unfortunate occasions.
Human error meaning people who check the wiring, people who check the technology, people who check the engines.
Pilots,
Pilots as well.
pilots as well. Yeah.
Bad decisions.
Bad decisions, stress decisions. Yeah,
Could be
yeah.
drunk.
It's the human. It's the human element, and we all know that in these times we're in the hands of people who are experienced. However, they are still humans, human beings.
So do you think that in the near future we're going to have robots riding us everywhere, or flying us everywhere?
Yeah. AI has kicked in already quite some time ago and is on test phase. And the test phase is a combination of human intervention as well as robotics and complete automation. It's highly unlikely.
Something like what we have in London right now, the Docklands Light Railway, where there is not a
Correct.
single driver driving
Yes,
the train. So I think,
that's the future.
I mean, don't you think people will be more scared going into a plane without a pilot?
The stats and the numbers talk themselves. So if you had to choose between something which is completely automated and programmed and preconditioned 100% to execute something without a single deviation whatsoever, no matter what, and a human being that has a family, that has finances to deal with, that has relatives, that has got ambitions, that has got girlfriends, that has friends going out in the night and then the morning after is flying an aeroplane. Which one would you go for?
Good question. Don't know the answer.
There you go. So yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean all my life, I mean up till now, February, when I traveled to Egypt, it's always been the human that flies me everywhere. And at the back of my mind, when you're listening to all these stories and everything, at the back of my mind, I'm always thinking whether I will land or not. It's always there. It's always playing out like, man, I need to get to this. And recently, because of in the last 2 years, the amount of air crashes that we've heard of,
Yeah,
especially with Malaysian Airlines and all that stuff that happened with them and everything, now it's even playing more on the mind that whether if I take off from here, will I land on my destination or not?
correct,
Anything could go
correct.
wrong. I mean, okay, one's natural disasters, which you can't stop, the wind, the rain, the lightning, the storm, all that kind of stuff. You can't stop that. But
But the planes are equipped to deal with all that, with all natural disasters to a certain degree.
but if a
Otherwise,
lightning strikes your wing and causes fire, then how do you stop that?
this is highly unlikely to happen.
Is it?
It is. Yeah, it is highly unlikely to happen. The chances are next to nothing. A wing may get on fire for all sorts of other reasons other than a lighting hit.
So it could be. I mean, you're saying that it would mainly be the wiring or something that causes the fire rather than natural lightning that causes the fire.
Correct.
Cool. Good
Correct.
to know that. Good to know that.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'd have to, before I board the flight next time, I'll be asking questions about the pilot, whether he's drunk, whether he had an argument an hour ago with his wife,
Correct.
all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, these questions will
Which
occur.
all natural elements. It's
Absolutely.
all very natural elements applied
Exactly.
to all of us, even
Absolutely.
to the superhumans.
Yeah, but
Pilots.
we're not handling the lives of 200, 300 people in one time, are we?
There you go. There you go.
These guys are handling the lives of 200, 300 people. So we spoke
Precisely.
about aviation, and that was great knowledge to have. I've never spoken to someone in the
Pleasure.
aviation department. But now moving on from aviation into telecoms, you mentioned that you were going through, you had your daughter and you wanted to spend more time with the family. So you wanted the ease of a job with time frame and all that kind of stuff. So you went into telecommunications. So did you see a drastic change between aviation and telecoms?
What happened is it was a transition from one of the greatest airlines and carriers in the world
Okay.
to one of the greatest telecommunications firms and large enterprises across the globe over the
Yep.
years, Ericsson. So, and myself, even from an employee status, I have also stepped up to a co-owner status. So
Of the
it's
company?
been, yes, of the company.
Wow, amazing.
And yeah, it is amazing. We are an Ericsson certified installer. And this business that I am now so pleased to run is in the industry for over 2 decades with a wealth of experience, and coming to the point how we can save people's money, time, and energy. Our track record on commercial properties, as you rightfully said, hotels, all the way up to shipyards and vessels now, has shown us that things are simple, life is simple. Now we've got our mobiles, and what do I mean by that? We've got our mobiles, and how we can save money is by having our mobiles being an extension of our telephone system at the office.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. So
I mean,
you can
I've
do it
I've already uninstalled my landlines totally. I mean, on my website as well, now you'll only find my mobile number because it's more convenient.
It is.
I mean,
It is more
I
convenient.
rarely, the only reason I call landlines is because sometimes a client is on a landline and you can't get in through with them on their mobile. So, I mean, I think we're moving to a generation now with all these, for example, I mean, Zoom calls and GoToMeeting and all these companies that are coming out. Like the other day, I was speaking to someone and I said, okay, let's have a Instagram live session. And they were like, why don't we have a Zoom call first? I'm like, why do you want to have a Zoom call? We're going to discuss the exact same thing that we're going to discuss on Instagram, but yet we'll have
Precisely.
other people involved. And then the other day I had we were talking on WhatsApp. I've been talking to this person on WhatsApp and I said, okay, let's if you want to have a call, let's have a video call on WhatsApp. No, we'd rather have a Zoom call. Huh? What's all this coming out now? What's all this Zoom call stuff? So I
Perception.
mean, we can see that we're trusting the digital. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but the
It's
landlines
called
are now
VoIP.
becoming exactly. The
Yeah,
landlines are
obsolete.
now becoming obsolete. No
Yeah.
one's really using them. Do you think mobiles will become obsolete as well?
Mobiles, for the simple reason that are portable and we carry them all the time with us, are becoming a substantial tool. Now, what happens is that if you wish to have all the functionality of your normal PBX system or your telephone system that you otherwise had on your landline, on your mobile, now you've got to use what the latest technology is called VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. For instance, and to put things into content, Viber, WhatsApp, it's all voice over Internet
Internet
Protocol.
protocol. Okay.
So instead of voice through channels, now we've got voice that comes in and out through data, which is substantially cheaper, number one, way more practical because we've got everything in our hands. And most importantly, we've got the end-to-end encryption as well in certain apps,
So,
of course.
don't you think sometimes when we are doing these, like this, for example, this Instagram live session is also a VoIP call, right? But sometimes when you're doing these Instagram live sessions or whatever, even Zoom calls or something, the internet is running slow, so your picture gets pixelated.
That's true.
Do you think this is going to be avoided by the fact that we're having a lot of 5G installations that are going on in the world?
First of all, this quality is impacted by the infrastructure in place. The current infrastructure is pretty much outdated.
Okay.
All the countries gradually are experiencing this shift from the previous cabling to the new cabling, just to
But then this
use
cabling will
simple
always
terms.
change, right? In 20 years' time, we'll have a new kind of cabling. 50 years'
That's
time, we'll
very
have
true.
another new. So
Yeah.
will we be going through this transition every time with roadworks and, you know, people's life coming to a halt because of this kind of stuff? I mean,
There are transitions and transitions. There are minor transitions, which are in fact upgrades, and there are substantial transitions like generational. So the cables themselves are changing every 35 years on average. So what we are living now, what we are experiencing, is a substantial one. So it's a landmark. Now we are going to another generation, is a digital one purely. Although
okay.
it was here since 1989
Yep.
when it's officially started, or this is when the academics say it was started originally.
Yep.
The point is that all this, yes, of course, it's nowhere near happening every year or every
Yep.
other year or every decade. So it's a generational one. My view to this and my response is that we've got to enjoy it because it's taking our lives to a new reality. And this new cabling or infrastructure is what backs this new experience altogether. So yes, we've got to be patient, but the benefits, advantages, and features we can enjoy, they are all life-changing
But
and business
we're
changing.
we're listening to all these stories that are coming out as well regarding the 5G with the radiation and all that kind of stuff. Are these stories true? I mean, I'm not asking you to. What I want is a sort of understanding as to why people are saying this and why is that perception built in mind that this tower that they're putting is going to cause harm to me and my family and I should go out and burn it? Why are people doing that kind of stuff? If it's going
let me,
to, if it's
yeah,
going to be, if it's going to be so important for our generation, our business, our livelihood, then why are people going out and burning them?
let me take it from the very beginning. When mobile technology was originally introduced, do you remember what happened? Everybody thought that their heads and minds and brains will fry.
Yep,
Okay?
yep.
Did anything happen?
There were cases where people's hands got burned, and when they were speaking to someone on the phone, possibly the fact that the stories that I've heard about people's hands getting burnt, or part of their ear or part of their cheek getting burnt, is because they were speaking on the phone while having it on charge.
Correct. Correct.
So maybe that could have been the case.
And nobody can put aside accidents which are genuinely accidents.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
But we've got to be neutral and as much as subjective as possible
Got you.
to what's coming, and assess the situation based on our own criteria by reading carefully articles which have been approved and accredited by official organizations, and nothing else. Rumors, there always be, whether it was for the previous technology or for the upcoming technology or the one after next. So we've got to hold a constructive criticism around every new introduction of technology. And yes, of course, take proactive measures, but everything related to 5G is on test phase at the minute. So whether harmful or less harmful, it's going to be proven and be evident pretty soon. For the time being, what I would suggest is take a step back, a strategic step back, see what we are up to now, see where we are going, and have a constructive approach on all this. Because effectively, this is all being an initiative to improve our life standards at the
So
end
I
of the
think
day.
what you're saying is this technology is going to help us overcome a lot of challenges, and all
Yes, when
these
you've got
all these all
surgeries,
these all these theories that are coming out about the radiation and 5G causing us cancer and all that kind of stuff is all pretty much baseless.
the radiation and cancer out of radiation is a fact. The
So the
point is to what volumes we've got
okay,
exposure,
okay,
number one, then regulation around this, and then also we always have consumers institutions going after all these businesses and enterprises. So there is a constructive debate around this, as it was always there. It was always there, and I welcome that. What I would rather leave aside is the extremes. Is neither like
so
nothing happens, nor we're gonna die tomorrow afternoon.
um so I mean, I know for a fact that for sure 5G does not have any impact on this virus that we are going through right now. With there's no such thing about that. But what I do sort of know that the radiation that is coming out of this may be harmful, but what you're saying is it's not harmful, provided that we use it according to the right amounts
Wisely, yes,
prescribed by the organizations
correct,
that are putting it in place for us. So
correct.
I don't know if you saw the David Icke interview that he had on London Real
Yes,
on Sunday last week. Not yesterday, but this last Sunday, where they spoke about 5G, and he sort of reiterated that 5G is not good. Not that I'm
5G,
saying. I mean, I also
5G
want.
alone,
Yeah.
5G alone as 5G, how good can it be? Okay, if you put radiation over something, what's good about it? Okay,
Yep.
now the question is how it's being used, where it's being used, and what for. Okay, we've got to get to the details, we've got to get to the specifics before we see. Well, driving, on the other hand, is
Yep.
connecting people. Okay, it's again how you drive, how often you drive, so what the chances are you've got an accident, and what safety measures do you put in place to protect yourself and your kids.
Got your
So
seatbelt.
it's another journey.
Yep.
It's
Totally.
another journey, by all means.
So before, I mean, it's good to know all these things, right? Because now my brain is sort of opening up because no one's spoken to me about it like this. No one, I mean, I've gone to people and spoken about 5G and they're like, Murtaza, stop it,
Yeah, it goes
it's
toxic.
exactly. But here
Yeah,
I'm having a really constructive conversation with someone who is saying that provided we use it in the right way, it's
correct,
beneficial. Like
correct,
every technology that has come out till this day, like for example, the phone itself, the mobile phone itself, if you keep it in front of your eyes 24/7, it's going to screw your eyes up,
correct.
right? In minimal or just use the phone for the right reasons, like doing this live session right now, or taking calls, taking emails, looking messages, everything, but using it to a minimal level so that your eyes don't get screwed up. So same way it would be for the 5G as well, that use it in the right way possible so that we don't have these issues that we are facing today.
Precisely.
Good, good.
Same
That
applies for every previous, current, and future technology.
so
It's
there so
another
there
journey.
so there could be 6G also, there could be
Oh
7G
yes,
also. So it's all
yes,
in the pipeline to sort of come.
correct.
Okay.
Evolving,
Okay. I mean,
evolving.
this is really interesting conversation. I thought I was going to talk about telecommunications, but it's good to be speaking about all these things and putting it out in the public so that people can actually know that, look, what the people or the conspiracy theorists or whatever they're saying is okay, right, in a way where if you use it outside your limits or more than your limits, then it's harmful.
Correct.
Anything is harmful if you don't use it within limits.
Precisely. Yes.
If you don't eat food within limits, you'll go obese, and that's going to cause you diabetes, heart attacks, all that kind of stuff, right? So yes, you're right in
Same
that way that
thing.
to use it the right way possible.
And
How
wisely, and according to prescriptions and specifications that are provided by the device, by the experts, by the organizations regulating the functionality.
Sure. If I came to you today for your services, Christos, how do you save money for someone using your VoIP services?
Thank you for the question, Mutaza.
No problem.
The way, yeah, it allows me the opportunity to share the pairing function. So if you got an office in the West End and an office in, let's say, Midlands, then you can talk to each other, to your colleagues in the Midlands, through the same VPN, so through the same
And
network for
using
free,
using the same phone.
using the same phone. You can
You mean I
dial
can pick up the
102,
landline, press the number, and it will connect me to my office in the Midlands, basically.
yes, or your office in Mexico for free again.
Ah,
And yes, you could dial 102 previously, and this could go up to the office next door. Now, if you dial 102, it can be your office in the Midlands or your office in New Zealand. And
wow.
then you've got free calls.
throughout the world.
Besides the other functionality, yeah,
Besides the other
through the
functionality that you have
mobiles.
WhatsApp, you have Zoom, GoToMeeting,
Correct,
all these things.
correct. It's all integratable.
And what does from where do your packages start and where do they go up to?
They start from offices of 3 people, and they go all the way up to shipyards and platforms for the armed forces.
So if you were to charge, like let's say my office of 3 people, how much would that cost on a monthly basis?
An installation of that, first of all, is one-off thing, which would cost you anything in the region of 900 to 1200.
Okay.
And we can sit down and quantify the benefits.
Okay.
And it can go all the way up to platforms for the RAF and Navy
Yeah.
and all these organizations.
And that would cost, this is what we are talking about, the installation cost, right?
Correct.
And what would be the
We've got 3
monthly
things.
cost be?
Yes, it's the maintenance bit
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
For a setup of a 3 people size, that would be in the region of £18 a month.
Okay.
To maintain, to have the functionality working, and all the adjustments that you need on the way.
Okay.
And it can go all the way up to large scale.
To maybe
Really.
£100, £1,000, £10,000 per month.
It can be, okay, for large enterprises.
Like let's say you
a
mentioned
tip-
the armed forces, so there's nothing big as the armed forces. I mean,
Okay, right.
you've got so
This
many. Yep.
This
Sorry.
is a dozen thousand per month. So yeah, it's massive infrastructure around it to be maintained.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah,
And how long have you been going for now, Christos?
it's the 3rd year, and I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying it.
Great stuff.
I feel blessed for the decision.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's why you've always got to take that risk, right? To feel blessed, and that you want to wake up every morning and you want to do what you like. You know?
Correct.
So spending
Correct.
time with family, doing the right job so you can spend your time with family. So it's good to know that. What would you advise a young person right now stuck in COVID, lockdown, all that kind of stuff that's going around in our economies today? What is your advice to the younger generation of how to see this and how to build a career out of this negativity into a positive career?
There is just a single way. It's one-way ticket, actually. Believe in human nature. When you help others, when you see others progressing, when you celebrate each other's successes, it's always better. This is what I would advise. Make sure what you do adds value to someone, to something, in a certain way that improves living, operating, or working standards, and you will be good. It's going to be tough, yes. It's going to take time, yes. Persistence is required, absolutely. Murtaza, you have experienced this yourself too. So I'm glad we've got this conversation going on. Absolutely. Because it's very constructive for the younger generation as well, and for those.
I mean, there are times like today. Last week I was working on a deal that was going to happen. We got the head of terms, everything all done. All of a sudden during the week we learned that the stamp duty cannot be adjusted. So now we had a conference call today with the vendor and the buyer, and it's going pear-shaped. So doesn't mean that I put myself down and think about that, oh man, what's going to happen? I've lost that deal. I've lost that money. I've lost that commission, all that. Obviously, yes, you've lost that. But I think right now is the time that the fact that you are alive the fact that you can spend time with your family, the fact that there is, okay, thousands of negative issues around you, but how do you sort of remove those negative issues and bring out that one positiveness in you, and like you mentioned, add value, add value to
100%.
something,
Spot on.
to someone, and bring out that positive vibe. And this is why I do these live sessions, because you know what, Christos, it's not about, like today, you enlightened me on the aviation part. I mean, I did not know about all this. You enlightened me about the 5G part. I mean, my thinking was that 5G is causing radiation, which is causing cancer. But yes, I did not think that if I used it in limits, it's perfect. It's perfect for the technology. It's good for the technology, all that kind of stuff. Good stuff. So, like this is why I'm doing these live sessions. So not only I can get
Good on
enlightened,
you.
but there are other
Yes.
people in the world. There are 7 billion people. I don't know where this video, whose mobile phone, whose Instagram profile is it going to hit. But if that person picks up one good point out of this video, my job's done.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
been
you for having me.
I hope I didn't ask you too many questions, but it was an interesting conversation.
Pleasure.
I think
Pleasure.
I'll do it one more time with you again, discussing just aviation, because I want to know about. I've got a thing that when I make it, I hope I do. I want to get my private jet. So
Pleasure.
it would be good
Absolutely.
to have that experience and that knowledge about private jets, aviation, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll definitely have that conversation soon.
Good. Excellent. To be continued then.
Super. Thank you so much, Christoph.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
sir. Thank you very
afternoon
much.
and enjoy the
And you
rest of the
too.
week.
You take care. Stay safe.
Take care.
Bye for
Bye.
now. Bye.
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 Wow, that was such an amazing conversation that I had with Christos regarding his time in the aviation department, now his time in the telecommunications department, how the two sort of interact with each other, discussing 5G, discussing the airlines that he's worked for. It's so much knowledge that you gain from doing these live sessions. It's absolutely amazing. So do check it out when you get some time. Is what is 5G? What is the aviation? How does the aviation industry work? What are the causes that causes air crashes? All that kind of stuff. Do check out this amazing live session that I've had with Christos. One more live session for the day with an agent, realtor, all the way from Texas, 6 p.m. It's happening. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye.